showed that out of 1.1 trillion naira earned from crude oil sales and other income in 2024, only 600 billion naira was remitted by the NNPCL, leaving a staggering 500 billion naira unaccounted for. The organization is demanding full disclosure and recovery of the missing funds and has threatened legal action should the company fail to act within 7 days. SERAP also urged Ojulari to identify and surcharge those responsible for the missing funds and hand them over to the anti-graft agencies for investigation and prosecution. Citing the World Bank report, the group noted that revenue from oil sales and other sources was expected to be fully paid into the Federation account and shared by all tiers of government, but the NNPCL failed to comply. SERAP warned that the alleged disappearance of such a large sum has serious implications for economic development, poverty alleviation, and the provision of basic public services at a time of national hardship. You're listening to the World News on Today 95.1 FM, Voice of the People. After the break, more news, foreign and sports stories. Do stay with us.
Every day, every hour, when the big stories break, depend on our 24-hour news team to bring you the latest. Today, 95.1 FM.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now the rest of our stories. Niger Delta human rights activist Anne Q. Briggs says the controversial statement by suspended Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara that his spirit had left the office of the governor should not be seen as a sign of weakness or defeat. Briggs' statement comes a week after the suspended governor made a comment that he was not desperate to return to office, a remark that some have interpreted as a sign of political weakness. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Today FM, Briggs noted that the governor's comment was a political statement. The human rights activist also described the ongoing political crisis in Rivers State as a direct consequence of a federal action taken without proper consultation or credible intelligence.
Of what the governor said is what is a problem for me personally. People are interpreting it to mean the governor has thrown in the towel, that the governor said he's tired, he doesn't want to go back, he doesn't feel like going back to government house, and all the things that the governor had said and how it is being interpreted. Well, I mean, that's the governor's opinion of himself. People voted for the governor to be where the governor is. The governor's tenure is not finished. So if the governor's tenure is not finished and he is talking in the direction that he spoke, perhaps when I have the opportunity, if I do, I can ask him what he meant. But it is a political statement.
The President General of Akbor Youth Assembly, Wali Azubike, has expressed concern over the growing rates of illicit drug use among young people in Akbor Kingdom, describing the situation as alarming and destructive. Azubike, in an interview with Today FM's Olawale Sanusi, lamented that many young boys and girls in the kingdom are becoming mentally unstable as a result of drug abuse, warning that the trend is fueling crime and insecurity in the area. He called on the River State government and the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, to take urgent action to curb the menace and protect the future of Akbor youth.
The youth of Akbor more recently has indulged themselves in the intake of hard and illicit drugs. Go to the streets of Akbor Kingdom. What you see later there is young boys going crazy, almost going half naked on the street. Likewise, the girls. Because of this illicit drug, we are calling on the government. We're calling on the NDLEA to swing into actions. If you see where they take this drug, you have pity on them. Any little money they make from any means possible, it is to take drugs. And that has led to the influence of crime and criminality in our locale. The other way around is when we hold these people and send to the security agencies, the next 3 weeks you see them back again. They should take them to a rehab center, confine them, quarantine them.
Azubike also revealed that the Youth Assembly on their part has put together a strategic plan to combat drug abuse, including a partnership request to the NDLEA for sensitization programs and campaigns across the kingdom. As part of the initiative, the Assembly plans to intensify counseling for young people and collaborate with pharmaceutical companies and medicine stores to monitor and control access to harmful substances.
We have plans that we are about to unveil. We have written to the NDLEA office to partner with them to carry out a sensitization program. We want to go on a campaign through the communities in Akpo Kingdom, go through radio program. We keep talking to our youth and talking sense into them the need why they should stop taking these drugs. They should know that they are the leaders of tomorrow. We are partnering with NDLEA. We are partnering with police. We will partner with pharmaceutical companies to stop the sales of these illicit drugs. Some of these drugs are sold by the pharmacists within our locale. So we want to carry out this campaign to warn our youth on the danger of taking illicit drugs.
Meanwhile, the Akpo Youth Assembly has reaffirmed its commitment to the ongoing ban on the operation of motorcycles, popularly known as Okada, within Akpo Kingdom between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., citing security concerns. In a statement issued by the President General of the Assembly, Wali Azubike, the youth body reiterated that the restriction is part of a coordinated strategy to tackle the rising rates of criminal activities, including theft, kidnapping, and sexual assault, which has been frequently linked to nighttime motorcycle movements. Azubike stated that the ban follows extensive consultations with security agencies and critical stakeholders across the kingdom, adding that law enforcement authorities have pledged to support the Youth Assembly enforcing the order across all affected communities. He warned that motorcycles activities in Ozoba, Choba, Ogbogoro, Rumosi, Rumo Limini, Rumo Barali, Rumo Alogo, Rumo Kwachi, Rumekini, and Alakaya should cease between 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. The Crown Royal Prince of Abisa in our Kukutoro local government area of River State, Prince Charles Lodson, has congratulated the newly appointed sole administrator of our Kukutoro local government council, George Peters, and the secretary to the council, Aboya Bob Fubara. Charles Lodson, who is also a clergyman, in a congratulatory statement made available to newsmen, commended the sole administrator of River State and all stakeholders in Akokotoro for appointing one of their sons, Peters, noting his reputable character and competence across various fields of endeavor. The Royal Crown Prince of Abisa stated the appointment of Peter is divinely ordained to reward the people of Abisa Kingdom, who have experienced marginalization since the creation of Akokotoro Local Government Council 35 years ago. The clergyman, who is also the senior pastor of Heroes of Faith, Port Harcourt region, further advised that for equity and fairness in Akokotoro's political landscape, stakeholders and political parties should nominate and support the chartered accountant, Peters, and other competent individuals from Abisa as their party flag bearers in the upcoming local government elections. He emphasized that this would pave the way for an Abisa son or daughter to be elected as executive chairman of Akokotoro Local Government Council for the first time in its history. He concluded the message with strong conviction that Abisa, one of the first 7 communities and the largest in landmass, will soon produce an elected chairman of the council. And on the foreign scene, Israel's military says it has begun extensive ground operations throughout Gaza and issued an evacuation order for several areas it warned would face imminent attacks. The Israeli Defense Forces launched strikes on site, including a hospital in northern Gaza, as part of a new offensive called Operation Gideon's Chariot. Israel says it aims to free hostages held in Gaza and defeat Hamas. At least 67 people have been killed and 361 injured in Gaza in the last 24 hours, according to the Hamas-run Health Ministry. To end the news, here is a summary of the major stories. The presidency has said that President Bola Tinubu is not biased against any religion in the country. The federal government and 33 states have repaid over 13 trillion naira debts in 18 months. You heard that the Akpo youth leader has raised an alarm over the rise in drug abuse and has called for government intervention. And on the foreign scene, we told you that Israel has launched a major Gaza ground operation as truce talks continue. That was the news as edited by Funanya Obimenta. For comments and inquiries, please call 0818-389-2850 or send your emails to news@todayfmlive.com. You can also read our stories on www.todayfmlive.com. I am Queen Chima. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.
Today's news, today's entertainment, today's sports, today's issues. Today on Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
At Education never ends, and we believe it starts even way earlier than most of us think. On Andre Gorgie, every Tuesday, 1 to 2 p.m., we unravel these various building blocks and its challenges that make you and I better versions of ourselves. Andre Gorgie on Today 95.1 FM.
Red is passion. Pink is for unconditional love. Blue is for loyalty. While black is secretive and mysterious. Baby, let's talk about love. The passion, the bliss, the betrayal, and everything in between. On Lovey Dovey. Mondays to Thursdays from 11 p.m. beneath the night sky with D. Amaka Felix on Today 95.1 FM.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's take you into a realm, another dimension, a reality of higher intelligence, discovery, and quantum possibility. Tune in every Monday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on this station and be part of this journey as we address issues that relate to you and your tech life. It is Today's Tech Show on your premium talk, news, and sports station. Today, 95.1 FM.
Hello, my people. Are you ready for an electrifying experience that would send shivers down your spine? Welcome to the thrill. Hold on tight as we dive into the hottest high life tracks that will make your pulse race and your feet move. It's not just a show. It's a musical and talk adventure that would leave you craving for more. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the thrill. 9 p.m. only on Today 95.1 FM.
A person who knows how to read and does not read is no different from a person who does not know how to read at all.
Books are the mirrors of the soul, a powerful tool for change, a means to an end. That end is a peaceful society which grooms enlightened and empowered individuals. So, make literature your utopia.
This same issue that we see in this book is still prevalent in our society today. Like up to today, some parents, some people
will still say you can't marry from this tribe. You shouldn't marry from this tribe. God forbid,
I can't marry.
Yeah. Join us in book review every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Let's help you find your utopia.
Today is business. Today is a new trend for your businesses. We give you all the information you need to grow your business, new ideas and innovations that keep you earning more and staying relevant.
Every day, we engage in business, buying and selling, trading, and exchanging of services as individuals or as a country. Money goes round, it goes up and down. But have you ever wondered what business is all about? And have you ever wondered how you can stand out in your business?
Today FM has got you covered every Wednesday between the hours of 1 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Learn all you need from professionals on how the country runs its business affairs and how you can be an outstanding entrepreneur and grow your business.
Business Today.
After our
oxygen, entertainment has to be the next best thing.
Because every chapter is unexpected.
At Today 95.1 FM, we know we entertain better, so we do it.
Life is too short to overthink your overthinking. So join us at 11:30 a.m. every weekday.
Let's give you a taste of sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Entertainment Today.
The ultimate entertainment extravaganza.
It all begins with breaking news.
Now make no mistake, this is a difficult mission, and it will remain difficult for some time.
Then it keeps trending. Events, issues, personalities, all struggling to gain attention. But in the race with deadlines, the intrigues, power play, undercurrents are often missed or underreported.
Insecurity here is basically a product of poverty.
But not anymore. As the platform on radio steps in to fill the missing links in events, issues, and personalities in the news.
I'm not afraid of anybody.
The platform on radio serves only the hottest topics and trending issues. Only on Today 95.1 FM. 95.1 FM. Port Harcourt.
Weekdays, 4 p.m.
Get on the platform on radio and be served.
It's been an exciting week. It's been an awesome week. And just in case you missed out on our big stories this week, we got you covered. Rewind comes up every Saturday, 6:30 a.m. And here you get a total rundown of all the big stories and trends for the week in River State. And this is brought to you by your premium talk radio, Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt. Rewind, 6:30 a.m. every Saturday. Don't miss it. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to pay a fine for an indictment? Then you later found out that there was an already established law to protect you from that penalty. Have you ever been denied a position because of your gender or disability? Have you ever been discriminated, treated unfairly, assaulted or cheated by your landlord, employer, tax collectors, bank, family, business partners, and the police? What if the breach between you and justice is just the right knowledge? I'm sure you've heard that knowledge is power. Join us every Saturday, 10 to 10:30 a.m. on Today 95.1 FM for the program The Law Today, to get acquainted with your legal rights and beneficial interests as a citizen of Nigeria. The Law Today, 10 to 10:30 a.m. every Saturday, is brought to you by Today 95.1 FM, Port Harcourt.
Wetin dey happen late?
They say wahala dey.
Na this one wahala be like bicycle. They just dey
Wetin dey happen? Wetin dey happen? Wetin dey happen? Now for Today 95.1 FM, 5 p.m. Monday to Friday, Bomkwem. Now here you go here. Wetin dey happen for Naija and Obodo the world. Now that time where we dey bring you ogbonge story them, we go shock you. You go wonder say na person do like this. Now so we dey bring am come give you acid the hot.
Now where would they find way to sweep this country? Don't run. You go start blood in the chopper. You say this one. No worry. When time we reach, I will say I want to take them. Let's see where they go.
Homeland is homeland.
Me, I go open gate for them. I no go be get man at that time for airport.
Wetin dey happen? Make you no miss Mazi Ike God Ike Nwachukwu and MC Kuro for Wetin dey happen. You go enjoy yourself. No forget to say woman dey chop our recharge card woto. I don dey tell una say this place na education center. As you sit down here with us from Monday to Friday, you go enjoy Wetin dey happen. Wetin dey happen? Make you no miss am at all.
So me Allah
What's a successful business without sales? And what is sales without an audience? Well, do you know that you can reach 8 million listeners across 6 states in 2 geopolitical zones all at once? How? With Today 95.1 FM, you can get millions of people to know about your business. And what does that mean to you? More sales. Call 081 389 2850 now for more information.
Unleash the power of the airwaves with the ultimate radio experience. Tune in to Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people. Don't just listen, immerse yourself.
That is 100% true.
Tune in for a journey beyond the ordinary.
Fasten your seatbelts.
We're not just a station.
We are the station.
Today, 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Maybe home is somebody's smile when they look at you for the first time. Maybe home is being a home to something you love and adore with all your heart, and that is what life, friendship, and love are all about. Maybe home is listening to all of your favorite shows on Today 95.1 FM. We create memories. We inspire comfort. We are the voice of the people, and we are home away from home.
You may not realize it, but do you know you can always show your love for others with simple gestures? Here are some of them. Always look for the good in people. There are 2 sides to every story. We have our good and bad sides. So, look for the good in people. Focus on people's potential. Everyone has potential. So, rather than put them down, help them realize it. Choose to love. If you're given an option between giving love and receiving love, choose giving because that is a more practical choice. Treat everyone as equals. This means letting go of all the prejudice and partiality. See people for who they really are, not their jobs, not their apparels or bank accounts. If everyone does this, then the world would be a better place. Love yourself. You cannot give what you don't have. So, before you try to love other people, love yourself first. Forgive. We all make mistakes. So, whether it's a family or a stranger, the best way of showing love is forgiveness. Everyone deserves a second chance. Show compassion. Care for other people. Care for what they are going through. Do what you can to help. Give back to the community. Remember that a single drop of water can cause countless ripples. That donation, no matter how small, can inspire others to do the same. Smile, even to strangers. Remember that you're never fully dressed without a smile. So, do not underestimate the power of a smile. Not only does it lighten up your face, it will also brighten up another person's day. Be the spark of positivity you want to see. When you smile, the whole world smiles with you. This message is brought to you by Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
People fixing the world.
Welcome to People Fixing the World from the BBC World Service with me, Myra Anubi. This is a program that goes a step further to find out about solutions to some of the many problems we face today. This week, we're in the South American country of Chile, finding out about an extraordinary grassroots organization that's reuniting families. Now, just a heads up, today's program includes some traumatic stories because we'll be talking about issues of forced adoption and infant trafficking. As a mother, I can't imagine what it would be like to give birth only to have my baby taken away from me at the hospital and then sent to another country to be adopted, all without my consent. But this is what happened to thousands of mothers in Chile in the 1970s and 80s. Today, many of those adopted children are trying to find their birth families. And we're going to hear about an organization that's helping them do that using DNA tests, detective work, and a lot of emotional support. We'll hear some incredibly positive stories of reunion and hope. But first, let's go back to the beginning to understand how and why these families were separated in the first place. In order to do so, I've got our reporter on the line from Chile, Jane Chambers. Hi, Jane.
Hi, Mara.
Now, Jane, this story, it's almost unbelievable, the horrific scandal of Chile's stolen babies.
Yes, it really is. It's a huge story here in Chile and an emotive issue. So during the 1970s and 80s, Chile was under a brutal military regime ruled by General Augusto Pinochet, and that's when these illegal and irregular adoptions happened in Chile. The regime actively promoted overseas adoption, and they saw that as a policy for reducing the number of poor people, and unfortunately there was money to be made in trafficking these children.
Yeah, but Jane, how exactly did this happen? How were the babies taken?
Well, there was a vast network of people behind this scheme, from doctors and nurses to priests and nuns to social workers and overseas adoption brokers. And what they did was they targeted women who were particularly vulnerable. Many of them were unmarried and they were typically young and poor. And lots of them were from the largest indigenous group here in Chile, the Mapuche. And these mothers were sometimes coerced into giving up their children by social workers, but many simply had their babies stolen from them by hospital staff who lied to them and told them that their babies had died after birth. So sometimes these women signed paperwork they thought was a death certificate, but it was actually an agreement to release the child from their custody.
Honestly, this is really shocking, and just imagining these women and how vulnerable they were in that moment. So most of these babies, they ended up being sent abroad?
That's right. The families who were adopting these babies in countries like the USA, Germany and Sweden thought they were using reputable adoption agencies, so they had no idea that anything was wrong. But it's thought that a lot of the money these parents would have paid in administration or healthcare fees was actually used to bribe the various people who were complicit in this trafficking.
And how many babies are we talking about here exactly?
Well, it's hard to know how many for sure, but the number's thought to be in the thousands. A Chilean judge involved in investigating the issue says the number of cases could reach 20,000, but others think it could be many more. And this was covered up for decades. It was only in 2014 that some Chilean investigative journalists began to expose the scandal. And that's when many mothers and adoptees reading the story in the news began to ask questions about what had really happened to them.
Honestly, Jane, I can't even begin to imagine what this would be like, for the children as well, realizing that this had happened to them.
I know. Well, I got to speak to some of them, like Jimmy. Now, he's a lawyer and a father of 3 girls, and he was raised in Virginia in the USA with the name Jimmy Tyden Lippert. And he knew from when he was a little boy that he was adopted from Chile. Now, Jimmy's parents, and then when Jimmy was 31, his mother gave him his adoption documents.
And this was the first time where I'd actually had them all in my hands. When I went through them with a very basic understanding of Spanish, like very basic, like high school Spanish, the only thing I was able to discern from them is that there were no less than 5 different accountings, and those accountings were so divergent, they couldn't all be true. These were stories that didn't jive together, like they didn't go together.
One of the documents said his mother was unknown, but another gave her full name. Something didn't add up, but Jimmy tried not to think about it. He didn't pursue it any further until one day his wife stumbled across a news story.
It was a USA Today article about a gentleman who had just recently discovered that he was a stolen child and had reunited with his sister in Chile for the first time. And so my wife had sent me that article saying, like, man, this story is crazy. And so for me, it was very clear that, like, this would be the most obvious explanation of, like, why I have all these different versions of a story that couldn't all be true. Well, if the whole thing is a lie and it's all to hide something like this, like, that to me made the most immediate sense.
The article mentioned an organization called Nos Buscamos that was helping adoptees find their Chilean families. So Jimmy sent them a message.
I was just hoping, maybe they'll take my case. Maybe, I'll hear from them in 6 months or a year or, something. I couldn't even fathom that they would call me the very next day.
That call came from the founder of Nos Buscamos, Constanza del Rio.
She said, we need to talk. Your paperwork is very serious.
Wow, and what was it she saw in your paperwork?
What she saw was the obvious fraud and trafficking of a child. What she saw were two names, the attorney that my parents had used and the social worker that they had used were the two most notorious traffickers in Chile at that time. The social worker, she ran the state's orphanage. So the two of them worked together and trafficked many, many children.
Wow, I mean, what a devastating revelation for Jimmy. His whole world basically changed. And we're going to come back to Jimmy's story because there's more here, right?
Yeah, there is. That's by no means the end of it.
Yeah. Now, first, let's talk about this organization, the people who are helping individuals like Jimmy. Tell me, what does Nos Buscamos mean?
Well, it means we're searching for each other. So it was created by Constanza del Rio, and she has her own story to do with this. So she discovered when she was 39 that she was an adoptee. And while she was searching for her birth mother, she created Nos Buscamos to help other adoptees do the same. I wanted to know how she does it, so I went to meet her. It's a hot, sunny day here in Chile's capital, Santiago, and I've come to a leafy part of town called Providencia, which is full of apartment blocks and little cafes. And I've come to meet Constanza del Rio, and this is where she has her office.
Hi. How are you? I'm very well.
When Constanza asked me to meet her at Nos Buscamos' offices, what I didn't realise is that she runs the organisation out of her modest apartment, where she lives with her dog.
This is an apartment, 2 floors, and we work with all the volunteers in this floor, the living room kind of area.
Nos Buscamos is a very small outfit. Constanza runs it with the help of a few volunteers. Sometimes Chilean mothers come here to her living room to tell their stories in person.
And this is the area where we talk to the mothers or whoever comes to ask for help. Part of the solution is to first listen, because for more than 50 years, nobody has heard the mothers here. They were shouting out that someone stole their babies and nobody believes them. They treat them like they were crazy, that they didn't have a baby, like they were trying to convince them to forget about this baby, to continue with their lives, and they were treated like crazy people. We have one of the cases now is in a psychiatric hospital, and we're waiting to work with the people who is helping her, because she has always claimed that she lost a baby when she was 16. And now the people in the hospital say, oh my God, she was saying the truth.
And all these years?
These years, yeah. In the second floor, we have rooms, and those rooms are for the adoptees when they come to Chile.
Should we have a quick look?
Really, very old kind of building. Everyone's like So we have 3 rooms here. I live here, and we receive people. You saw the sofas on the first floor. There are beds too. We have had in this apartment more than 10 people at the same time. And we are going to receive someone this Friday, coming from the UK. They were stolen from Chile, and they have lived all their lives in places like Sweden or United States. And come back to Chile is a huge journey. We are trying to say, welcome to your country. We try to get them to feel comfortable and secure.
The organisation helps both adoptees looking for their parents and Chilean mothers looking for their children. Once someone like Jimmy submits their case, the first thing Constanza does is give them a call to get as much information as possible.
For a mother, it's very difficult to find clues to find her baby. They only have the birthday and the hospital, and that's it. They don't know what happened to the baby. Maybe the baby died, maybe the baby was taken away. She doesn't know. But the adoptees has clues. They have some paperwork, some passport, because all the babies were taken with passports. And with that information, we can do a lot.
She gathers any official data she can, like records from an adoption agency or hospital. But it can be tricky. These organisations don't always want to help. Then it's a matter of detective work. Sometimes the only detail Nos Buscamos has is the birth mother's surname. But by doggedly messaging everyone with that name on Facebook, they crack the case. The real game changer, though, is DNA testing kits. Nos Buscamos works with a company called MyHeritage, who give them the kits free of charge.
We here in Chile give the DNAs for free to the mothers who lost their babies, with a very little hope that maybe the children, now an adult, will do the same, and we are going to find them through the DNA.
Once someone submits their DNA sample, MyHeritage processes it and checks it against their database to see if any previous samples are a genetic match. Nos Buscamos suggests all the adoptees and mothers they work with use the MyHeritage database because it's one of the biggest DNA testing companies, so it offers the best chance of matching with a relative who might also be looking for them in different parts of the world, not just Chile. But one of the problems they come up against when trying to track down the mothers of stolen babies is a lack of awareness about the issue in the places where this happened. These are mostly poor communities many hours' drive away from the capital, Santiago. So Constanza decided to take Nos Buscamos on the road and invested in an office on wheels. We stepped outside her apartment into the blazing Santiago sun so she could show it to me. Oh, wow. So this is like another member of your team, the van.
Her name is Hope. We go around Chile with this little office.
Let's get in. This van, Hope, you're off down south in a couple of weeks because that's where a lot of the children were trafficked from. Where are you going?
Okay, we have this van. It's a big one. We have a little office and a little bed inside of the van, and we can sleep here when it's necessary. We are going to go to Perquenco, Victoria, and Temuco, where many children from the Mapuche people were stolen, to make DNA tests for free. When we get there, the first thing is to go to the local radios stations, and we go to the local TV stations too, so to spread the word, to talk about this, so much more women can know about this. We go in the plaza. In every town in Chile, we have the plaza, the main square. We always say that we are going to be there, so people can go to the van and talk to us, and people just come very quiet and very in private to talk to us, and we can help them. Sometimes they don't even search for their kids because they are still afraid to tell the others that they lost a kid or that maybe they were stolen. So to get this awareness is very important.
Talking to Constanza, I was impressed by everything she's doing. It's so much work. It's taken over her life and her apartment, but it's certainly making a difference.
We are more than 600 cases solved. In this year, 2025, we already have 19 cases solved. So we are solving like 2 or 3 cases a week because it's our protocol. It works, like really works.
This is People Fixing the World from the BBC World Service with me, Myra Anubi. And I've got our reporter in Chile, Jane Chambers, joining me as well, telling us about this organization, Nos Buscamos, that's reuniting so many families.
I know, it's incredible, isn't it? Something so positive after something so terrible.
Now, how are they able to do this? How do they get their funding?
They operate on a shoestring budget. They don't charge anyone for their help, and they rely on the work of a network of around 20 volunteers in Chile and around the world. They cover their costs through donations, and MyHeritage give them a few hundred DNA kits a year.
Jane, the truth is that these were terrible crimes, so isn't this something that the Chilean state should be taking a lead on?
Well, Chile's current president has announced the creation of a task force to investigate these irregular adoptions, and the government said they'll do more to help adoptees search for their relatives. However, successive governments in Chile have been criticised for not doing enough, fast enough, so civil organisations like Nos Buscamos have taken it upon themselves to do this work. And alongside Nos Buscamos, there's this one other group in Chile who are actively conducting these searches. They're called Hijos y Madres de Silencio. And there's an initiative based in America, run by a Chilean-American adoptee called Connecting Roots.
Well, from what we've heard so far, it's important work. Jane, I'm still waiting to find out exactly what happened to Jimmy.
Yes, so as we've heard, first Constanza analysed his paperwork, and she was able to quickly spot the signs he might have been a stolen baby. But what Jimmy wanted help with next was tracking down his birth mother.
And Constanza said, well, the problem is your mother's name is very common, you know. My mama's name is Maria Angelica Gonzalez, and she's like, that's like a John Smith in America.
Constanza advised Jimmy to take a DNA test.
So I ordered the kit, and I decided to take the test. From the moment we sent it out, it took less than 41 days to get the results back and get the truth after 41 years of lies.
Wow.
I remember when those results came in, I was in my driveway making snow cones for the kids in our neighborhood, which is something I do whenever it's a hot day. My girls go and gather the rest of the kids, and we make snow cones for everybody. And I got these results in, and it said, there's a cousin of your parents in the database. I just started drafting this email to this woman who's a match. And I was like, hi, my name is Jimmy Tyden, and I'm trying to find Maria Angelica Gonzalez. She had a baby boy on October 31st, 1980, and she may or may not know that I'm alive. And I'll never forget, she wrote back, she said, we have a Maria Angelica Gonzalez on my mother's side. And I'm telling you, I clung to the tense of that word, because she didn't say had, she said have, present. I had this wave of emotion when I heard the word have, like it was hope to finally learn the truth, whatever it was.
I was finishing my lunch when my cousin called me and said, hello, I want to ask you a question. Did you have a son on October 31st, 1980?
This is Maria Angelica Gonzalez, Jimmy's birth mother.
At that moment, my heart was pounding. I said, why are you asking me that? My cousin told me that a young man was looking for me. It was like someone had thrown a bucket of ice water over me. I couldn't believe it. I said, no, it can't be. It can't be.
Maria Angelica told me what she remembers about the day Jimmy was born.
I was discharged on the second day, and they told me that my son would be hospitalized because he had turned yellow. I had to come and pick him up 48 hours later. I couldn't find my son. They told me that he had died. I went crazy crying. They said when the babies died, they were discarded. I felt such immense pain. All my life, I remembered him. I cried for him so much.
After she got that call from her cousin, she got another call from Constanza. A big part of Nos Buscamos' work is providing emotional support to people like Maria Angelica as they cope with the shock of learning what really happened to their babies and prepare themselves for contact with their adult children. Maria Angelica wanted to talk to Jimmy, but she needed time to be ready, so Jimmy decided to start small.
I sent her a photo of me and a text saying, Hola mamá, soy su bebé,
I couldn't believe it. I looked at his face and found him identical to my eldest son. My heart leapt with rage, then happiness, then suddenly rage, then happiness. He sent me a video of my granddaughter saying, "Hello, grandmother." I was overjoyed.
Those first text messages were followed by phone calls, and soon Jimmy and his family set off for Chile so he could meet his birth mother and hug her for the first time in 42 years.
My oldest daughter asked me, "What are you going to say?" And like, jokingly, I was like, probably, "Hola, mama." And that's exactly what I could get out in that moment. So those were the first things I said to her was, "Hola, mama, te amo mucho."
It was good. It was painful. It was a mixed feeling. I was angry, a lot of anger, outrage, joy to know my son was alive, but indignation that so many years have passed.
She's so tiny. She's such a tiny woman. She's so sweet. And I just couldn't imagine somebody doing something so horrific to someone so kind and so small. It was heartbreaking.
Since that reunion in 2023, Jimmy and his mama, as he calls her, have met several times and formed a strong bond. He's even added her last name, Gonzalez, onto his own.
Mi relación con mi hijo es muy hermosa. My relationship with my son is very beautiful. He's a wonderful son. We are always communicating. All week we have video calls. And now I have a third granddaughter who I went to hold in my arms in the United States when she was born.
We brought Mama actually to America when my youngest daughter was born because she's missed every major family moment. So we felt really strongly about bringing her to America so that she could be there for that.
And it has been wonderful, wonderful to have this family that God has given me, and that this puzzle, the missing piece, was completed.
Jimmy Tyden Lipet Gonzalez and his mama, Maria Angelica Gonzalez. What an incredible story. Thank you so much, Jane, for sharing this with us today.
Thank you.
That brings us to the end of today's program, but I would love to hear your thoughts about what we've shared today. All you need to do is send an email with your feedback to peoplefixingtheworld@bbc.co.uk or catch me on WhatsApp. The number is +44 8000 321 721. Now, I'll be back again next week with more positive news from around the world. Until then, thanks for listening.
To make sense of what's happening in your world, listen to What in the World by downloading the BBC World Service app.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Plenty shy, I done day on a Friday, cause I'm on the done day. It's a done deal, they don't pay. They kite it, we a baby them day. Some is say every day is a new level, next level. That's what we the same devil. We be burning, we be spending, we be balling. For your waist, I run kilometer. Now you go be my fine shima. You got the body and I got the bar. I dey for Canada, they blow Canada. I wanna hold some things, cause as I did like this, my body do on things and things. Now you need my mind, oh. Give me your tools, make I utilize, oh. Go on your knees, handle on my mic, oh. Shift up your pants, make I gonna slide, oh. For your waist, I run kilometer. Now you go be my fine shima. You Got the body and I got the bar. I did for Canada, they blow Canada. Flower, I just got in another phase. The song is so amazing, I'm just dancing to the bass. Never could imagine what this love will ever bring. I stepped into another league. Play me the song. Standing right here, I can see my home. I feel the peace. It's spreading so fast and it's deep in my bones. Take me, my baby, I'm left with memories. I feel so empty when I'm not with you. Take me, my baby, I'm left with memories. I feel so empty when I'm not with you. Just take me there. Just take me there.
Is it the house? Is it the car? I'll give it up for you. Is it musings of my heart? I'll sing it all to you. I'll give you peace, I'll give you love. Just hold on to me, love. Take me away and play me a song. Standing right here, I can see my home. I feel the peace. It's spreading so fast and it's deep in my bones. Take me, my baby, I'm left with memories. I feel so empty when I'm not with you. Take me, my baby, I'm left with memories. I feel so empty when I'm not with you. Please take me there.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Jazz from the Heart of America here on VOA. I'm your host, Dan Bindert, inviting you to listen along with me as we explore the sound of this great American art form together. And this time out, well, if you stay with us for the full hour-long program, we'll have a tribute during the later part of the program to the late vibraphonist Roy Ayers, who went beyond the world of jazz to make some big, big hits in the realm of pop and R&B, jazz funk, some people called it. Was sampled by a lot of hip-hop artists over the years. We'll get to some of Roy Ayers' music a little bit later on, both the big hits and also some of the music deeply rooted in jazz from his early years. We're going to open up the show this time with some brand new jazz recordings. This is pianist Ben Patterson, with Neil Miner playing the bass and Aaron Sieber on drums. Title cut to Ben Patterson's latest, recorded in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's called Cookin' in the Coove. That's pianist Ben Patterson, who came up in the Philadelphia area and went to college in Chicago, Illinois, the University of Chicago, and that's where he became more or less a professional jazz musician and began exploring his work on the local scene here in the Chicago area. Eventually made his way to New York and now is back in Chicago, but his latest album recorded in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, in April of 2024. It's become a bit of a center of recording activity for American and Canadian jazz musicians. The Cellar Music label putting out a lot of that music. And this new disc from Ben Patterson, recorded in Vancouver, well, it's called Cookin' in the Couve, the Couve being short for Vancouver. Neil Miner, the bassist, Aaron Sieber, the drummer, Ben Patterson with the swinging piano. Here's one now from trombonist Steve Davis, recorded during a live date at Smoke Jazz Club in New York in the fall of 2023. Out on a recent release titled We See, the Steve Davis Sextet, an all-star group of sorts. You have trumpeter Eddie Henderson, saxophonist Ralph Moore, pianist Rini Rosnes, bassist Esied, and drummer Lewis Nash, all along with trombonist Steve Davis. And this is a Freddie Hubbard composition. It's called Up Jumped Spring. Trombonist Steve Davis and his all-star sextet. That was Louis Nash on the drums taking it out. The tune, Freddie Hubbard's jazz classic, Up Jumped Spring. And this one recorded live at Smoke in New York, just out on a recent CD called We See. This is another all-star group. They're playing under the banner MTB. M for Brad Meldau, T for Mark Turner, B for Peter Bernstein, three of the leading jazz instrumentalists today in 2025. Larry Grenadier is the bassist, Bill Stewart on the drums, and the tune, this is a Peter Bernstein original written for his son named Dewey. It's called Ditto for Dewey. MTB, here on Jazz from the Heart of America. That's the group MTB from a recent release titled Solid Jackson. Diddy for Dewey, the name of the tune. Guitarist Peter Bernstein, the writer of the piece. Brad Meldow played the piano. Mark Turner on the tenor saxophone. This is Jazz from the Heart of America here on VOA. I'm your host, Dan Bindert, bringing you the great sounds of this American art form to VOA stations all across the globe, and we bring it to you each week from the studios of WDCB. That's the radio station known as Chicago's Home for Jazz, located on the campus of College of DuPage in Glen Ellen, Illinois, USA. That's vibraphonist, composer, producer, and all-around music man Roy Ayers, who passed away at the age of 84 on the 4th of March, 2025. Another one of those great talents who was rooted in jazz but went well beyond jazz itself to create music that will be remembered for a long, long time to come. The tune that we heard, well, that was his rendition of an Aretha Franklin classic called Daydreaming, and it comes from Roy's 1973 album, Red, Black, and Green. During the course of his career, Roy Ayers would work with a long string of incredible musicians that came from different genres or even different parts of different genres from within the music. Everyone from Herbie Hancock and Herbie Mann to Fela Kuti, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, Stanley Clarke, and many, many more. Well, since the program is called Jazz from the Heart of America, we do want to emphasize even further the jazz element in Roy Ayers' work during the course of this show. So as we pay tribute to the late, great Roy Ayers, let's hear one now that takes him back to his hometown, Los Angeles, where he was born in 1940. And some of the early recording sessions that Roy Ayers did when he was just starting out in his career. This would have been when he's the age 22 or so, out on the West Coast in California. In fact, it's a live performance that took place at the famous Lighthouse Cafe in Hermosa Beach. The leader here is Los Angeles saxophonist Curtis Amey, and it's a Benny Golson composition called Tippin' On Through with Roy Ayers playing the vibes. That's the crowd at the Lighthouse Cafe in Hermosa Beach, California, just a few steps away from the Pacific Ocean outside of Los Angeles in July of 1962. Curtis Amy playing the tenor saxophone, Roy Brewster with the valve trombone, John Huston at the piano, Bob Whitlock, the bassist, Lawrence Marable on the drums, and Roy Ayers, just 22 years old at the time, playing the vibes. Tippin' on through. We're spotlighting the work of the late, great Roy Ayers this time out on Jazz from the Heart of America. And we move now to a later period in the 1960s, 1967. Roy Ayers was recording as a leader for the Atlantic record label, but still hadn't broken out yet as a big star. Some major musicians along with him on this recording, though. Charles Tolliver, the trumpeter, Joe Henderson on the tenor saxophone, Roy Ayers on the vibes. This is called In the Limelight. one of the true blue jazz recordings of vibraphonist Roy Ayers going back to 1967. From an Atlantic Records release called Virgo Vibes, Gerald Wilson, the great West Coast band leader, was the writer of the tune. It was called In the Limelight. Musicians including Charles Tolliver on the trumpet, Joe Henderson on the tenor saxophone, Ronnie Clark, the piano player here, Reggie Workman on bass, and Bruno Carr with the drums. Roy Ayers had musical success on multiple fronts throughout several decades of his career. In fact, he was pretty active in the music business from the early 60s all the way up to the end of his life, as he passed away in March of 2025. And we will certainly miss Roy Ayers for many years to come. Tell you what, we got to play at least one of his big pop hits before we're done with the show. Here's one of the big giant blockbusters of Roy Ayers' career. It's called Everybody Loves the Sunshine.
My life in the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Folks get down in the sunshine. Sunshine. Yeah. Folks get brown in the sunshine. Just bees and things and flowers. 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 My life, my life, my life, my life in the sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Everybody loves the sunshine. Sunshine. Folks get down in the sunshine. Sunshine. Folks get brown in the sunshine. Feel what I feel when I feel what I feel when I'm feeling in the sunshine. Feel what I feel when I feel what I feel when I'm feeling in the sunshine. Do what I do when I do what I do when I'm doing in the sunshine. Do what I do when I do what I do when I'm doing in the sunshine. Sunshine.
From May of 1976. We had to play that one before we were done. The late, great Roy Ayers, and one of his biggest hits, Everybody Loves the Sunshine. And that closes it out for this edition of Jazz from the Heart of America here on VOA. I'm Dan Bindert. The program comes to you each week from the studios of WDCB, the station known as Chicago's home for jazz, located on the campus of College of DuPage in Glen Ellen, Illinois. Thanks again for being along with me to enjoy the music. I'm looking forward to sharing more of these sounds with you soon. For now, till the next time we talk, keep the rhythm of jazz in your step as you walk. Be cool, keep swinging, and have a beautiful week.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.
Every day, we hear reports about counterfeit products, stories of fake drugs, foods, expired goods and other consumables being manufactured, imported, and sold to unsuspecting members of the public. Findings reveal that Africa records at least 100,000 deaths from fake drugs-related ailments yearly. These fake and substandard products, particularly drugs, have been considered a global threat to human lives. And despite efforts by authorized agencies in Nigeria to combat the menace, the Nigerian market remains flooded with different unwholesome products. This is a plea to all those who manufacture and sell these goods to desist. Stop this menace of counterfeit products. Let's place value on human lives. And should you have purchased a counterfeit product or unsatisfied with the product, please contact SON or Consumer Protection Agency. This message is powered by Today 95.1 FM, the voice of the people.
Turn the dial and turn up the thrill. We are not in the same league. We are rewriting the rules. Here on Today 95.1 FM.
We talk, you listen.
Live your truth. Express your love. Share your enthusiasm. Take actions towards your dreams. Talk your talk. And walk your walk.
It was years ago. There's a statute of limitation on this stuff.
Make today worth remembering as we discuss issues as it affects Nigeria moving forward. Talk that talk. Weekdays, 2 p.m. Exclusively on Today 95.1 FM Port Harcourt.
Voice of the people.
Say no to the ordinary. Embrace the extraordinary, because we are the voice of the people. Voice of the people. Today 95.1 FM.
Today 95.1 FM.
What's a successful business without sales? And what is sales without an audience? Well, do you know that you can reach 8 million listeners across 6 states in 2 geopolitical zones all at once? How? With Today 95.1 FM, you can get millions of people to know about your business. And what does that mean to you? More sales. Call 081 389 2850 now for more information.
Talk radio. I listen to a lot of talk radio.
95.1 FM.